What's up YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new, welcome. Today I want to go ahead and do a two-part series where we talk about international travel 101. So if you're interested in this video, then let's get started. International travel can be very fun and exciting. It can also be turned into a nightmare if the planning has not been done correctly. It is important to remember that you are leaving what you know every single day and learning something completely new, and that requires a lot of adaptation. So I want to just kind of put some things out there so that you can put these things on your mind and have a successful international trip. So let's start off with currency. Alright, so when it comes to money, first I would say to check and see if that particular country actually takes your form of currency. So an example would be, if I go to the Bahamas, if I go to a Caribbean island, 9 times out of 10 they are more open to accepting the US dollar. Even if I go to Mexico, like specifically Cancun, they will also take the US dollars. But say I were to go to Europe, they won't take a US dollar. So some places are a little bit strict about what currency they accept and some are not. So I will say look into that first, because that could save you actually a good bit of money without kind of getting too deep into currency fees. So that's something to look into first. Once you figure that out, you can either go ahead and set sail with the money that you have, or it's time to start looking into some options for how you can go ahead and convert your currency. So I want to tell you guys a few ways to do this without spending too much money in conversion fees. So let's get started on that. So the first thing we're going to do is take a trip to our local bank. At the local bank, you want to start off by asking if they have a way to go ahead and convert your foreign or your currency to the currency that you're looking for. Some banks have foreign currency already in stock at these banks. If they don't have that, the next thing that I would do is ask them if they have partners overseas. So that way when you land at wherever, you'll know, oh, this bank is partnered with my bank, so it should be okay for me to go ahead and get some cash out from there without having too many issues or anything like that. The third thing that I would do while you're at the bank is ask them if you can find out what the rate or conversion is on your own debit or credit card if you want to use that. Some people are not comfortable with that, and that's perfectly fine. If you want to do something totally separate, then I would also ask your bank for suggestions during this one bank trip, by the way. Ask your bank for some suggestions on where you can order online some currency, foreign currency. You want to make sure that it's something reputable, and I would suggest asking a bank about it just to make sure that you avoid any kind of scam or anything like that. And I'll give you guys a couple resources that I personally have researched and I think are kind of cool. Okay, so the first thing that I want to tell you guys about is TTYL. That is a travel card that you can reload through your online banking, and it's completely separate from your personal bank account. It's not linked or anything like that. Also, when you go to use the ATMs, it doesn't charge you any fees from the ATMs that they partnered with, which I think is a lot, and they'll tell you exactly like which ones are compatible with this card, that kind of thing. So that's something to tell, you know, if you don't want to link it all together, to how to separate it and it not be a big mess. Because once you take money out, you want to make sure you take enough out, especially if there's going to be a fee that's constantly involved with that. The second thing that I would do if you're interested in opening up a new account by chance is to look for some kind of credit card or debit card account that is conversion friendly, currency conversion friendly. Wallet Hub does a great job at this, so I will link their article down below for what they have currently. It's for 2018, but still I think it would prove to be of some value. So they'll tell you exactly what cards are friendly, which ones the rates are kind of outrageous, which ones are kind of low, that kind of thing. The only thing that I don't necessarily recommend is when you go to the airport, try to avoid going directly to the Western Union that's there to get cash, because that's almost a difference of purchasing a bag of chips at a fancy hotel versus purchasing the same bag of chips from a gas station. Same product, it's just that one costs significantly more than the other one. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind if you're looking to cut down on your conversion costs. I would take those tips. If you're just looking to get the cash, then at least you know all the places of how you can, where you can go to get that, how you can get it, that type of thing. But if you're going somewhere where you'll be losing money on your currency, your native currency, is that how you say it? Native? I mean, whatever. The one that you're on now, then I would try to cut that cost as much as possible because you're already losing money. Yeah. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. If y'all have questions about that, comment below. I'll see if I can answer for you. So let's move on to the next topic, which is laws. So the next thing that I want to talk to you guys about are laws in different countries, and why you should research them. It may seem obvious, like some things are pretty standard across the board, like do not steal, don't go rob anybody, don't go speeding, you know, that type of thing. Most of those are pretty universal, but there are some laws that you wouldn't even think were, you know, a thing, and they actually are. So it's important that you research where you're going, and make sure that you know the laws that are in that country, because I don't think that the excuse of, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know, is really gonna cut it. Just saying. So I found an article on The Insider. I love The Insider. And they posted, it was 14 laws that people wouldn't think existed. I wrote down a few and I'll read them off to you guys. So let me get my notebook. Okay. So the first one that I found was suspiciously holding a salmon in the UK. That is actually illegal. Chewing gum in Singapore, well, really spitting it out, is also illegal. And the reason why, I think, is because they have a train rail where people were spitting the gum down in the railings or something like that, and it was stopping up the trains and basically creating a big issue. And they're also about keeping as clean of an environment as possible. So chewing gum is not allowed unless it is dental or nicotine gum. Reckless biking in Mexico is not allowed either. So you see a lot of pictures where people are riding their bike and they may lift their feet up like, woo, I'm having fun. That is against the law in Mexico. And you just keep your feet on the pedals at all time if you are riding a bike for whatever reason in Mexico. High heels in Greece at certain monuments are not allowed either. They don't want to damage the flooring that's in some of these ancient monuments, and they want to go ahead and preserve that, so high heels are not allowed. I don't understand why this is a law. I feel like that should just be a rule, like no high heels allowed, but if it needs to be a law, then I guess it needs to be a law, you know what I mean? The other thing is running out of gas on the Autobahn is not allowed. In the US, if you run out of gas, you pull over, you go get some gas, it's not a big deal. You go to Germany and think that that same thing applies, you're in trouble. They basically say you should have prepared for it, you should have enough gas. They don't allow that on the Autobahn. I imagine because the Autobahn does not have speed limits, that is actually more dangerous than it is in the States. That's just my theory. I don't know that to be true or not. Peeing in the ocean in Portugal is also illegal. I don't know how they monitor this. I'm not suggesting that you should do it anyway. Don't. Obviously, that's kind of gross. But I do know that it's important, I feel like, to know that law, because when we went to Portugal, my boyfriend jumped into the ocean from this like cliff portion, and when he got out, his skin was like ice cold. It was so cold to the point where I would not have been surprised if somebody peed themselves in that water because it was so cold. But it's something that's good to know. Don't pee in the ocean. And I respect that environmental rule. So, good job, Portugal. The other one that they have is using water guns in Cambodia, specifically on New Year's Eve. They said that they think that it would cause social unrest, and so they banned the sale of water guns on New Year's Eve. I don't think that it's that far-fetched. Certain fireworks in the United States are banned. So everybody kind of has their own thing, and all of it has a reason behind it, and it's just important that you know what the laws are with wherever it is that you're going, and make sure that you don't get yourself in any trouble. because you're not at home, you're far away. You just want to make sure that you're staying safe. You want to make sure you're in the know, and you want to make sure that you're adapting well to wherever it is that you are. So make sure you study the laws in whatever country it is that you're going to, and that you respect them. Cool? Cool. So let's move on to the next thing, which would be religion and culture. Okay. So last thing I want to talk about in this video is religion and culture. Religion is something that okay, if you're a tourist and you are of a different religion, I don't think that it's that big of a deal. But in some situations, you do still need to respect what the other religion may be. So if you have to bow in certain places, or then do that. If, you know, in Islamic religion, some people have the, I forget if it's like every hour on the hour where they do the praying sessions. Then just like stop and be respectful, and don't just like be walking around while everybody's, you know, doing their religious practices. One of the videos I was watching on YouTube, it was about the Maldives actually, and these girls were coming downstairs from the wherever their room was through the lobby, and they were in their swimwear and bikinis and stuff like that. And I don't know if they knew that the Maldives is a predominantly Islamic nation, but they got in trouble for coming down the stairs in their bikinis and their swimwear. And granted, they were going to the pool, but they just could not walk through the hotel lobby with such little clothes on. And it was cringy for me to even watch. I feel like you still have to respect that they are Islamic, and they do believe in conservatism. So just make sure you know what you're going, and you can do a little bit more research on what's, you know, appropriate and what's not. I can understand how these girls probably did not think that would be an issue, because the Maldives is so pretty with water, and it looks kind of tropical, and it's so pretty, and you probably think like, oh, it should be no different than me going to the Bahamas where they're a little bit more free-spirited. Not the case. So make sure you do your research on that. Make sure you do the research on the culture, see if there are any practices that you should probably abide by, and make sure that you're doing what you can to fit in, because it is a little bit rude to leave wherever it is that you're originally from and to go somewhere else and just kind of, you know, neglect whatever practices it is in their home. So just make sure you guys are up to date on that. And yeah, that's all I have to say about religion and culture. This is going to bring me to the end of part 1. So tune in 2 days? Friday? Yeah, Friday I'll post the second one about part 2. Well, we'll be talking about basically where to stay, adjusting the time zones, and a little bit more lighthearted, fun stuff, but still things that you should plan out. All right? See y'all next time. Bye.